everyone, it's Lexi, and welcome back to another episode of The 20 Effect. I am so happy that you're here because I have a really exciting life update. I moved to Austin, Texas. It still does not feel real. Honestly, I received an amazing job offer out here, and literally, it's been such a whirlwind the past couple months of my life. I officially had gotten the job and then within a month wrapped up my GA position at GCU, graduated with my master's, and moved out here to Texas. And it's been such a whirlwind, like I've kind of said, but it's been such a blessing at the same time. I know I've mentioned in previous episodes that the biggest blessings in my life have always come when I least expect them. And I think just the way everything aligned with how it all worked out was just such God's timing, but just so perfect at the same time. But it has been crazy, and I have been just going through a lot of change the past couple of months. And so I really just want to take the time to talk about that, talk about the change that's been happening in my life and the good and the bad that comes with that. I think change is something that we all go through, no matter whether we're in our 20s or in a different season or era of our life. Change is just inevitable. And so kind of just want to talk about that, talk about the advice that I've received, but also what I've learned through this process and how I've grown, and kind of just share that for anyone that's struggling with a season of change. I know that it's been a minute since I've kind of put out an episode, honestly, just with moving and starting a new job. It's all been a little hectic and crazy, and to be completely honest, I feel like for a while I was just feeling unmotivated and uninspired. And I'm someone, I know I've mentioned this from the beginning, but someone that I don't do anything halfway, and I'm just gonna put my whole heart into everything that I do. And so I think I was in a place where I didn't want to sit down and record an episode just to get out content. I wanted it to come from a really authentic place. And it's taken me a while to get back there. I feel like I'm starting to feel re-inspired, but I have my previous boss, and her just being a mentor in my life has always kind of said sometimes done is better than perfect. And being a perfectionist, that's something that I've really struggled with. But I was like, you know what, Lexi, you just need to sit down and record an episode and just be real and authentic and vulnerable, because that was the whole purpose of this podcast from the beginning, was to be that. And so we're sitting down, we're in some comfy clothes, I'm wearing a hat, I have zero makeup on, and we're just gonna record and talk about change. I'm literally about to hop in the car after this and drive up to Dallas to spend time with some friends, but I just wanted to take some time to just sit down and talk about this topic because I think it's really important, and it's something that I'm currently going through, and my purpose in this is just to share that, and hopefully someone can relate to it and get some just advice from it. So I remember ever since I was a little girl, my mom told me that I had a really hard time with change. I remember I was moving to a new soccer team when I was in elementary school. And I was sobbing to my mom because I didn't want to change teams, and I liked my old team and I didn't want things to be different. And I remember her kind of telling me how change was just a part of life, and eventually I was going to have to figure out how to deal with it, because it was something that was just going to be, it's never ending. And if we're not changing, then we're not growing. But I remember my mom kind of telling me in that moment of Lexi, not only is this going to make you a better athlete, but it's going to make you a better person. And I ended up playing on that soccer team and becoming friends with those girls from when I joined in elementary school all the way through senior year of high school. And I think it's really cool to just look back on my life and see the different seasons of change that I've been in, and kind of the anxiety that I feel around that change, or the nervousness, and then watching myself go through it and then come out of it an even better person. I think that is really cool. On this past Sunday, I was in church listening to the sermon, and the pastor was talking about, when we're growing something, there's the planting and the harvesting. And those two things are pretty easy. The planting is the beginning. It's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. It might be a little overwhelming, but it's something new. The harvesting is the end. It's when we're reaping the benefits of the work that has been done over however long. And then in the middle is the watering. And the watering is the really hard part. The watering is when we spend majority of our time, just like a plant. The watering and the waiting and the growing is where a plant spends most of its time. And I think that is the point where we really have to trust and have faith and believe that like we are going to come out on the other side of this so much better. And that's something that I have to remind myself of constantly. I think kind of just like that metaphor really works for me because I'm in a watering season. And I think it's nice because I'm starting to see the benefits of like the season that I'm in, but I'm not quite there yet. And so it just takes a lot of trust, a lot of faith, and just a lot of like discipline too, of growing throughout this season, of the challenges that we face. Like I've said, there's good and there's bad to seasons of change, and I've been dealing with both. But I can pinpoint back in June when I remember I had woken up one morning and I was just like paralyzed with fear and anxiety about my future, about what was next, about what I was going to do after I graduated, because truthfully, I had no idea. And in my heart, I felt like my chapter in Arizona was starting to come to an end, but I was like trying to resist against it because I felt like I had such a great community and I loved my life there, and I had such an amazing job, but I knew it was coming to an end, and I knew in my heart I could feel that like God was calling me to something else. But I kind of use this analogy of I was swinging on a rope, and I knew that eventually I was going to have to let go of the rope that I was currently on to like reach out and grab onto a different rope that would take me into like the next chapter of my life. But there was no rope in sight. And I think it's like there's a point in our lives when we're stepping into a next chapter, stepping into a new season, whatever that may look like, of we have to let go of the rope at some point and trust that the other rope is going to show up, and trust that like there's going to be something out there that brings us into that next season. And for me, it honestly wasn't until I felt like I said, I kept resisting against leaving Arizona. Like I really just wanted to stay, but then there was something, just like deep in my heart that was telling me that it was time to go. And that was heartbreaking because it was a reality that I just really didn't want to face. And I remember there was this day specifically where I was leaving my apartment, and as I was like at the stoplight, I looked up and there was the most beautiful sunset. Arizona had the best sunsets by far. And I remember you could see kind of my street name that I lived on, and I just took a picture. And I remember in that moment, I ended up like posting it on my story and just kind of saying that, you know what, I don't know what my future holds and I don't know what's next for me, but I know in this moment right here, right now, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I feel like it wasn't until that moment, that's when things kind of started to shift and pivot for me, of finally embracing just, I don't know what's next. And I can make these plans and have these ideas and have these desires on my heart, but truthfully, I don't know what's next for me. And almost being okay with that, being okay with sitting in the scary, being okay with sitting in the unknown of what was next. And it wasn't, like I said, until that moment that doors started to open for me and opportunities really started to present themselves. But with that comes a lot of challenge and a lot of hard too, of, okay, now I feel like this chapter is finally coming to a close. But again, like I'm still holding on to that rope. I still don't know what's next. I'm ready to let go of that rope, but there's nothing in sight. And so I think it just took finally kind of just letting go and trusting that something was going to happen for me and something exciting was going to come along. And then the job in Texas presented itself, and literally the way it all aligned and the way it happened was so perfect, and something that I couldn't have even dreamt up myself. I feel like I have to pinch myself a lot of the time that like this is my life and this is real, and I have the opportunity to do this and coach the amazing athletes that I do and work in the most incredible place. And but I think when we have that confidence and that courage, there's also a lot of doubt that creeps in. And there's a lot of just discouragement that I've been dealing with personally, of just not feeling good enough, not feeling like I deserve this, not feeling like I earn this. And I think that's been the really, really hard part about this season of change. And I think any season of change that anyone's going through, like, we have those doubts. I think about someone that's entering into a season of marriage, like something that's so new and so exciting and so beautiful, but something that's also scary at the same time. And you have those fears and those doubts that creep in. I have friends that are currently pregnant and about to be moms and dads, and that is a scary season of change, but like so beautiful and so exciting at the same time. I'm sure they doubt in their head of like, am I going to be a good parent? Am I going to be able to raise this child well? And so I think whether you're taking a new job, you're about to enter into a season of marriage, you're about to move across the country, like whatever it is, I think it's okay to have that doubt. I feel like if it was all confidence and no like humility or humbleness, like there wouldn't be a good balance of it all. But I think it's how you deal with that doubt and how you come out on the other side of it that's important. Uh, I've been working a lot on just like better self talk. But it's hard, especially moving to a new place, not really knowing anyone, moving, feeling like I'm starting over. But I think there's also a lot of beauty in that, and a lot of beauty in just starting over. Not necessarily starting over, but like starting a new chapter. And I think for me, any season of change, you're unlocking like a better version of yourself. Like I kind of see it as like leveling up. Like you're taking the next step that's necessary for you to become the best version of yourself that you want to become. But I think it also comes with a lot of discipline and a lot of working through the really hard days and then celebrating the really good days. I think I have been all over the place with my emotions too, of like feeling I need to have my apartment all perfect together, feeling like I need to be constantly going out and making friends and finding community and finding a church and finding a young adults group and whatever it may be. The biggest word that I've been using throughout this season that I encourage you to use as well is grace. That's something that I swear is in my daily vocabulary, because not only just like grace, having grace for myself, but also having grace for other people so that way they can give you the same grace in return. But that has just been something of, if I'm like, okay, I have 10 things on my to-do list. If I got two of them done, that's two more things that I got done that I didn't have done before. And I think it's like celebrating the little wins. I think also in any season of change, like finding what grounds you. That's been something big that I have been trying to find and trying to work on. For me, it's like just spending time outside, watching the sunset, drinking a cup of coffee, journaling. And so whatever that is for you, going on a walk around. I get to live in like such a beautiful city, and the river is absolutely stunning, and there's so many people out just walking and running and riding their bikes. And I'm like, that's so cool that like I live in a place that I'm able to get outside and move my body. And so, whatever that looks like for you, whether that's working out, going to a new coffee shop, journaling, meditating, whatever it is, I encourage you to find something that grounds you, because there's so much newness in this season and there's so many like outward things that are going on. Find something that grounds you from within. Really just like helps you get through the day. For me, that's also been my faith, which has been really great, but also navigating that in a new place and figuring out, okay, what's like a good church to go to? How do I, when I have to wake up at 5 a.m., like do I have time to read my devotional and my Bible in the morning? Like, kind of balancing that of a routine that I was used to back when I lived in Arizona, and now it looks completely different. And I think that's kind of like the hard part, and the shift is figuring out, okay, what does my like new reality look like here? And I think so too. It's hard to not want to compare the different seasons of life that we're in. It's really hard to not look back, especially when we have things like Snapchat that like have memories of years ago that like pop up, of what I was doing on this day like 5 years ago. And it's hard to not look back on those memories and wish to be back in that season of life. I know for a lot of people in their 20s and like freshly post grad, like looking back and wishing you were in college again. Also, actually, I know a lot of people in their like 50s that wish they could be in college again. But it's like it's so real and it's so true of it's hard to not want to compare, or even just comparing others. I know I've talked about this before too, like comparing the season of life you're in compared to the season of life that your friends are in. I think that's something that's really hard, to not want to compare. But I think it's so unfair to compare two different seasons to you, because in those moments you are two different versions of yourself. You still who you are at your core, I hope, but like you are not the same person that you were when you were in college. You were not the same person you were when you were like single before you're now married or whatever that may be. And so it's so unfair to compare those two different seasons to each other. I think a lot of the times I find myself comparing of, the success that I was having in Arizona, or just like the community that I had, or even just the lifestyle that I was living. I'm comparing to like my time in Texas. And I think that's so unfair for me to do, because this season is going to grow me and help me become the next best version of myself. And where Arizona helped me become the person that I am today. And like, how cool that I get to now cherish that chapter, cherish that time, because it's like built me and grown me into the person I am today. And like, I hope that you are proud of the person you are today. And so I think it's okay to look back on different seasons with like fondness and gratitude, but not comparing them to like your current situation. I think also like a lot of the time we have the ability to like change our day to day. I know that like if you're a believer that God like has the ultimate plan for your life. And so I encourage you to just like rely on that. Trust me, I know it's hard sometimes, but I really just encourage you to just rely and turn to that. But also like the day to day, we have a lot of control over like our lives, and especially like our mindset. And so just working through that, kind of figuring out, okay, I'm starting to compare myself to like the person I was a year ago. I need to fix that because I'm not that same person. I'm someone who's like better in a different place, in a different spot in life. And so how can I make today's version of Lexi the best that it can be? And so I just really encourage you to like have a mindset shift of, okay, what can I do right now? What can I do today that's going to help set my future self up for success? I think what's been really cool for me is just the moments of when I am starting to doubt or like feel discouraged of maybe this isn't where I'm supposed to be, or maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, or like questioning my current situation. I think something that's been really sweet is just like the confirmation from the Lord that I've received. And a lot of that has just been through people here, but also just like people who have been in my life for a really long time, who like know me best, of just kind of telling me things or saying things that are so confirming, or even just like moments that happen where I'm able to take a step back and be like, wow, this is so cool that I like get to do this. I need to be a lot more grateful for this, rather than wondering like, am I, and I think it goes back to like just not feeling good enough. I think that's something that as people, every single one of us struggles with, of questioning like, am I doing enough? And so I want you to know that like you are good enough and you are qualified enough and like you have earned the spot that you're in and you have worked hard for like what you've gotten, but also just finding encouragement from other people too. And I think that's been really sweet, is just to like when I hear like we love having you here, especially I'm such a words of affirmation girl, but when people say like I'm so happy that you're here, or when people from back home are like it looks like you're thriving, and all the things of just like okay, this is exactly where I'm called and exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I need to embrace that more and just like try to thrive in this current spot that I'm in. And something about me, I've said this before, but like I'm an all-in girl and I'm going to put my whole heart into everything that I do. And I think I've experienced maybe a little bit of like resistance in that, of like wanting to put my whole heart into it out of fear that like what if this doesn't work out long term, what if this like isn't what I thought it would be, whatever that is, like. But I think sometimes we do just have to jump all in, and we do just have to trust that like it's going to work out exactly how it's supposed to. And I just laugh because there's so many points in my life where like things have worked out exactly how they're supposed to, but I still have that resistancy and that fear of like, but what if it doesn't? And it might not look exactly the way that like I thought it would, but I promise you like it always does work out. And so how your life is going might not be the way that you thought it would, but I promise you like when we are in that harvesting season and we're able to reap the benefits of like our hard work and our discipline and like showing up every day, it is so much better than we could have ever just imagined. And I think that is just the beauty in it all. I think that's just the coolest part, is that you never know where life is going to take us, and you never know what that next door is going to lead you. I think something that has really grounded me too in this season is staying in touch with the people back home and the people that know me best. I have tried to be really good about calling friends and calling family members or sending a text or just trying to keep in touch and in contact, because moving across the country was really scary and really hard, and especially not knowing a lot of people and trying to meet people here, but also the people back home and the people that I've been able to do life with over the past couple of years, like they know me so well. And I think there's something so great about having people in your life that know you so well and inviting them into the next season of your of life, whether they're in the same season or not. um and it's hard, I'm not gonna lie, especially when I have friends that are in very different seasons than me. But I think it's so encouraging to just talk to friends and invite them into, because now they get kind of like a window into my current life and into what I'm doing. And I get to be honest with them about like what I'm struggling with, what's going really well. And they get to see me, they get like a front row seat to seeing me become the next best version of myself. And so I encourage that for you too, of talking to the people regularly that know you best and that love you like endlessly no matter what, and invite them into this next season of your life. Because if they are a true friend or a true family member and someone that's really in your corner, they're going to have a front row seat to that season of your life and into what you're stepping into next. And so invite them into that. Allow them to see like the good and the bad. And I think it's just encouraging too, of knowing and talking to friends that are dealing with with something so similar. I think a lot of my friends are dealing with seasons of change. We're also entering into a new year. I know that is like a really big season of change, of ending one year and kind of starting another. I think it's really cool to just like find people in your life that you can bring along with that, whatever sort of season of change you're going through. I just hope that if you are dealing with a season of change, that you're able to find ways that like ground you and kind of keep you sane, because I feel like I've been all over the place the past couple months, and I'm sure other people are in the same boat. I think when life kind of like flips you upside down, the first thing we try to figure out is like, okay, what safe thing can we like cling on to and go to? And so I just really encourage you to find that throughout this season. I encourage you to find really good people. And I encourage you to just like know that this is temporary and it's not going to last forever. And if anything, this like watering season is going to just unlock your fullest potential and unlock the next step that you can take to become the best version of yourself that you can become. And so I just hope and wish you the absolute best throughout this season, and whatever you're going through, like know that other people are probably going through it too. So I hope that this was just like helpful and insightful for people who are going through change and who just need some help along the way. That's like what I feel like this world is for, is just like giving each other grace and like helping each other along the way, especially in your 20s. But I do want to kind of take a second to just talk about the future of the 20 Effect. I am feeling really just re-inspired. This upcoming year, I have some really exciting just like ideas and guests lined up to talk about some really cool things that are hopefully just helpful to people. If I'm being honest, like I was feeling just really discouraged, or honestly like ashamed of that I wasn't doing my best. I wasn't doing everything that I needed to. And I think for me, I just have to keep going back to the fact that like the whole point of this was that if I'm helping one person, then I'm fulfilling like the purpose of this. And so I am just trying to keep that in mind throughout this next kind of season. I'm calling this like season 2 of the 20 Effect that's coming up, but I'm really just excited to keep continuing to do this. It's such a privilege that I get to do this, and I'm just so grateful for like the support that you have shown throughout this, just listening and watching, and the words of encouragement that I've received. Like I would not be able to do this without that, but trying to fill those doubts and discouragement that I have with encouragement and just finding ways to like love doing this. But yes, I will be continuing the 20 Effect. I would love to just keep doing this for as long as I can. Whatever topics or ideas or things that you want me to talk about, people that you want me to bring on, like would love to hear from you guys about it too. But yes, I'm just really excited about the next chapter. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, still trying to figure out like balancing work and life and friends and moving and feeling settled and all the things, but I'm going to try my best to just keep recording and keep loving that I get to do this. And so, yeah, I'm excited about the future of the 20 Effect and season 2. So be on the lookout for more stuff. But this was just such a sweet episode, just kind of talking about and wrapping up all the things that have kind of happened. Honestly, it took me several takes to record this episode. And so I hope that whatever version is put out is just helpful to people and just something that people can relate to. But this was something that I feel like my heart and my soul just needed to talk about too. And honestly, just like self-therapy in a way of, I feel like a lot of the time when I give advice, it's the same advice that I need to take. And this was just something that encouragement that like I needed to at the same time. But yeah, I seriously could not do this without you guys. So thank you so much for listening or watching this episode. For more content, make sure to check out the 20 Effect podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I just want you to remember that no matter what you're going through, we're in this together. Bye, y'all.